In the last video, I kind of stopped short of finishing this return function because I realized this is actually going to be like way more complicated. We're going to have to like write out quite a bit more code before we can get this up and running. So just cutting that video in half. I usually try and keep my videos like under 8 minutes. 5 minutes is usually as long as I want them to be. So cutting it in half just kind of helps you as the learner concentrate. Whenever I use Udemy courses, I like videos being about 5 minutes. It's just better that way. Okay, so we're going to declare this variable called range, and we're going to set this to 0.035. And this number is kind of significant because, you know, our longitude, latitude, the deltas were like 0.09 and 0.04, something like that, right? Well, this range is basically going to say like an acceptable range for where the Pokemon are located, you know, due to like where you're located. So we want to basically put some Pokemon on the map whenever you hit this add button in like a random location, based on like where you're at. So we need like to set up a range, and this is going to be like a square range. It's not going to be like a perfect radius range. You could do the math for that if you want, but I'm not really getting into that type of math right now. I just want to have like a nice square area defined. So and then we're going to have this other thing called var range1, and this is going to be math.random. We're going to be using this random function. Like I said, we're going to randomly place Pokemon on the screen, and we're going to use a ternary expression here. So we're basically just saying if the math.random, which it's going to return some value between 0 and 1 back, if it is greater than 0.5, so half the chance, then just return range. If it's not, go ahead and return a negative range. So in the case that it's 0.9 for 0.9 for instance, it's basically taking the point, like the center point here, and then adding 0.035 to it. So the Pokemon would be over here, and if it's under 0.5, the Pokemon's going to be over here. So it's just like a nice little way to have like a random location. We're going to do it for, so this is going to be like left and right, and then this is going to be like up and down. So we're going to have a second range here for up and down, and it's the same function, math.random, parentheses, and if it's greater than 0.5, then go ahead and return range, otherwise return a negative range. And the reason why I set this up as a variable of like range here is so that we can very easily change this. Like if we wanted a bigger range, we could set this to something else, and we only have it declared once, so it's like it's dry. It's don't repeat yourself code right there. All right, so we're going to get the longitude right here. So we're going to say long is equal to this location coming back, and we're going to get the longitude off of it. So we'll pass in the location that we get from the map in through here, and we're just accessing it right here. And then we're going to say long is equal to long plus a math.random. Lots of randoms in here. And then we're also going to multiply it by whatever the range 1 is. So a lot of stuff there, but we're going to keep programming on here. Do the same thing for latitude, so locked at latitude. And then we'll say lat is equal to lat plus math.random. Got the random function, and we'll multiply this by the range 2. Okay, so now we can say var icon path. So basically what we're doing now is we're gonna set up like which Pokemon we're gonna bring back from the server, from the server public into Pokemap here. So we need to get like a link to this public, and what we can do is we can just say icon path is equal to process.env. This is something built into Node.js. This is going to help us get like the location of that public space there. So we'll say pwd like this, and then add on that this public string like this, public like that, and we're going to say var icons is equal to fs dot read directory, dir for short, sync, and this is going to get, you know, information from that icon path there. Now we do need to import FS, which you know, if you ever did like input/output like file systems before, you know, this is basically just Node.js version of that. So you want to say var fs is equal to npm dot require fs. And just a quick reminder, MeteorJS is built on Node.js, so you have all of these same capabilities in Node.js built in with Meteor. So if you're familiar with Node or you're going to get familiar with Node, Meteor works you know, perfectly in sync with all of that stuff. Almost done with this function. This is quite a long function here. We're going to want to set up a minimum value on which Pokemon are acceptable. This is just pure preference for me. I don't want any Pokemon that I don't know coming back, so we're going to keep it to you know, that first and second generation by setting a var min and var max. The var min is just going to be the first Pokemon in the array, and then the var max is going to be the 250th Pokemon in that array. So the first two generations. And then we want to get a random value here so that we can return a random number from 0 to 250. So we're going to do this by saying math.floor. The floor function is going to have math.random in it. And then math.random is going to be multiplied by the max right here, and multiplied by max minus min right there. And then the last thing we need to do is add on min. This is pointless. It's just part of the algorithm, you know, for getting a random number between there. Min is 0, so it doesn't matter. You could take it off if you want. I'm going to leave it there because I'm kind of a perfectionist. All right, so we're just going to return now Pokemon.insert. So we're going to be inserting this Pokemon into the database. So we can say image, icons, and then just throw that random on there, and that'll go ahead and find random from that object that we want from icon path. And then we'll say longitude gets tied to the longitude number that we set up, and then latitude is tied to the latitude number that we set up. Okay, that's a lot of code. I'm sure you're like, I really just want to see something pop up on screen now, finally. We're almost there. I'm going to save this up. We'll start a new video, and then we'll go ahead and call this function from the front end, and then find a way to get subscribe to that data on the front end. So see you then.